Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Welcome back to Lira and Lo. Thank you for joining me for our usual Thursday get-together between 7:30 and 8:30 p.m. Happy Thursday po sa inyong lahat. And happy first Thursday of October. Bilis ng panahon, ano? I was actually chatting to a friend yesterday. Sabi ko nga, ang bilis-bilis ng panahon. October na tayo, which means what's that? Okay, beginning of October, but still, less than 3 months to Christmas. Astonishing. Anyway, I won't go on too much about how fast the time is going because I don't want to waste our time nga. Ang pangalan ko po, Lira Simon Kabatbat. Abogado po ako. I am a solicitor in the United Kingdom practicing in Richmond, which is in London nga. We are at the end of the district line. So if you ever want to come and see us, easy to get to us, just the district line nga, and coming dulo ng district line. From central London, it probably takes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, depending on where you're coming from. So not too far, but we are practicing in London. I am qualified now. Actually, I was looking up my my post qualification details for a form. Anyway, I will be 34 years post-qualification experience by February of this year, coming. And not this year, so because of 2025. 2026 February, I will be 34 years. 34 years post-qualification experience. So where has time gone? I know, sorry, I'm going back again about time. Where has time gone? No, I'm a solicitor at Douglas Simon Solicitors. Piscina ko, Douglas Simon Solicitors. As I say, we're based in the leafy place called Richmond. No, not too far from the park, actually. No, it's a lovely place, Richmond. And so my office, we've been around, Douglas Simon's been around for 28 years. Not quite as old as me, but nearly. That does not, my 34 years, soon 34 years, does not even include my studies and my training. If you put those together too, then I am nearly 40 years in law. So I've been doing this a long time. So I hope that in the time that I've been doing it, I've acquired some practical and of course, legal experience, which I hope will help you now. And as usual po, ang pag-uusapan nga natin, issues that affect you. Normally we have a star question, but tonight I don't have a star question. I mean, we have a lot of questions and really substantial questions, which is great. Salamat po, for tuning in and actually putting your questions. Now we're going to deal with the questions that you put to us, of course. But we're going to be dealing with an issue that has been circling, especially in the last 2 weeks. I actually wanted to deal with it also in part last week, but actually those of you who tuned in last week, we had all sorts of issues with internet, which hopefully will not visit us tonight. But the issue is indefinite leave to remain. Lots of people have said, wala na bang indefinite leave to remain? Has it been abolished? Is it going to be abolished soon? And that's been going around, as I say, for the last 2 weeks, really, but especially this week, following on from the political conferences nga, also some mga balita nga, so some info that's been provided to newspapers, So lots of things are being said about indefinite leave to remain, so settlement status. So I want to just clarify that position. Dahil maraming mga tao nga na, they're understandably worried about it. Now, it's starting really with people who've just arrived na nandito sila as a spouse or indeed as working on a work visa, to those people who already have indefinite leave to remain, pero kadadating nga lang indefinite nila, to those people who have had indefinite leave to remain for a long time, no, and are not yet in a position to apply for naturalization, or are now in a position to apply for naturalization, but they think that it's already been abolished. So ang dami ang chismis surrounding indefinite leave to remain. So ang topic po natin ngayon is indefinite leave to remain update. So I'm going to try and go through what actually has been is likely to happen, and also what has not happened but may well happen, and things that are pure chismis. Okay, so hopefully this is going to be helpful nga to you. And kung meron kayong makilala na makakatulong nga ito, pass it on. No, sharing is caring, especially in with tonight's topic nga, because I think you will probably find maraming nag-aalala, no, which is understandable, because it may well affect you, as I say, from if you just arrived to family nga, to now, when can you apply, what do you need to do. So all that, the whole, we're going to try and deal nga with starting from the top. Indefinite na nga ngayon, ano ba pwedeng mangyari, when can you apply for, say, indefinite leave to remain, or indeed after indefinite leave to remain for naturalization. And also we're going to focus on the current government's plan. No, we're going to be looking at the white paper that was published nga in May, and I actually did a show on that. So kung gusto niyo malaman yun, go back a few weeks, makikita niyo yun. So May 2025, so a few weeks ago, I dealt with the white paper, and therein one of the things that we discussed is indefinite leave to remain, and also the current Home Secretary, that is Shabana Mahmood's address to the labor conference nga on the 29th of September, so only a few days ago. So I'm going to read out to you an extract from her speech, no, because that also tells you what actually is planned by this government. So we have a big topic nga. At saka, our questions are, as usual nga, wide-ranging and very interesting, and certainly very challenging. So titingnan nga natin, there's some questions about property law, marriage nga, you know, the divorce potentially, domestic violence, okay, skilled worker route, no, changing over, public funds, no, benefits nga. So a whole gambit of topics nga ngayon, as usual. And of course, we try not to shy away from difficult or very challenging issues. And tonight is no different. We're going to tackle them head on. So I hope that you will continue stay with me, you know, throughout nga. And if you have friends, family nga na can be assisted by sharing this yung program nga natin, just the link, because they can always go back to see, oh, okay, ano ba sinabi niya, no, 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, or 4 weeks ago, to do with the white paper. You can see that through, and I will try and post also updating information on our Facebook. So if you haven't, if you've not linked, to our Facebook, do, because it's probably quite a helpful tool for you to be kept up to date. Okay, so anyway, we're going to take a quick break, saglit nga lang po, and then we're going to launch into our massive topic, which is indefinite leave to remain update. Okay, I'm going to try and deal with take down the myths and deal with the position as things stand at the moment, and hopefully reassure some of you about indefinite leave to remain. Okay, so saglit nga lang po, I'll be right back. See you soon. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me again. Ang pangalan ko po, Lira Simon Kapadat. I am your host tonight at Lira in Law. I'm a solicitor at Douglas Simon Solicitors, and I have been qualified nearly 34 years in February. 34 years. Anyway, topic po natin ngayon, without further ado, is indefinite leave to remain update. Okay? Now, ang chismis nga, not necessarily chismis, that's perhaps a bit unkind to put it that way. But what's going around at the moment is starting with no more indefinite leave to remain. No, that's something that definitely is chismis. No, no more indefinite leave to remain, or that it's going to be abolished soon. Wala kang makukuha indefinite leave to remain. Kung may indefinite leave to remain ka na nga ngayon, that will be gone. No? Yun ang balita. They're mainly untrue. Okay, they say mainly because there are changes afoot that you should be made aware of. So, unang-una nga, what is indefinite leave? What's ILR? Actually, that's what a lot of people how a lot of people refer to it. ILR. ILR is just short for indefinite leave to remain. Okay, indefinite leave to remain is settlement. It is what you get pagka sabihin natin nandito kayo, matagal na nga kayo dito, o nagtatrabaho kayo 5 years nga dito under skilled worker, and you apply for settlement. What you get is indefinite leave to remain, otherwise known as settlement, sometimes referred to as permanent residence. Okay, strictly speaking, they're all slightly different, but the upshot is you can stay in the country, in the United Kingdom now, without limit. No? Yun. But it doesn't mean that that's fully safe also, because if you leave the country for more than 2 years, even though you have indefinite leave to remain, your indefinite leave to remain then expires. Okay, but that's continuous 2 years na wala nga kayo dito. But that's not our topic tonight, so I'm not going to go into that too much because we have lots of other things to get through. So indefinite leave to remain, as I say, is settlement. Now, ang balita, wala nang indefinite leave to remain o mawawala na ngayon, and kung meron kayo, mawawala na din. So, ibig sabihin, magiging overstayer na nga kayo ito. That's actually untrue. No? Now, how did that start? No? I think it probably started because a political party said they will, if they get into office, they will, indefinite leave to remain will no longer be granted. Okay, but that rather migrants nga will be required to apply for extension of their leave to remain, say every 5 years. More than that, not much more detail. But that political party is not in power. Okay, our government at the moment is the Labor, it's the Labor Party, you know? And so it's really what they say that we need to concentrate on. The next, the next time that there may be a change in government, the next election, I think is in 2 years' time, or maybe even 3 years' time nga. So at the moment, it is of course a concern. Yung sinasabi nga nitong political party, but it's not what it is at the moment. So yung kung ang akala nyo, wala ng indefinite leave to remain, that is untrue. Kung may nagsasabi sa inyo, walang indefinite leave to remain, as overstayer na nga kayo, huwag kayong maniwala because that's actually untrue. Okay? That is for sure. It is untrue. Kung meron kayong indefinite leave to remain, hindi ibig sabihin na wala na automatically, it's kind of vanished. Hindi po. So don't worry and do not listen to people who are saying to you, wala na. Be assured, kung meron kayo indefinite na nga ngayon, you still have that indefinite leave to remain. It's not going to suddenly disappear. Okay? But there are proposals that may limit those who do not yet have indefinite leave to remain. And we're going to also touch now on what should you do now if you have indefinite leave to remain. I mean, is it you should just leave it? Or do you want to see about going the next step, which is applying for naturalization, which then leads to a British passport? But as I say, that's also a topic that I'm going to touch on now. So what is the current position? What documents should be, or what should be we'd be looking at that provides us with some some certainty, for want of a better word, about indefinite leave to remain. And there are two things na titingnan nga natin. The first one was actually published in May. And it's a topic I dealt with nga before, a good few weeks ago, because I think I dealt with it in May. And that's what's called the white paper. The white paper is a policy document. It's the government's way, whichever government is whichever party is in government at the moment, at any time rather. At the moment, we have the Labour Party as in government, and it's the white paper is published by the government to say ano bang plano nila. It's a policy document. And it was published, as I say, in May 2025, so only a few weeks ago. And it deals with what is the plan for immigration. Okay. Now, that white paper said, in no uncertain terms, that the government intends to extend the time for people when they're applying for indefinite leave to remain from 5 years currently, where it's a work-based visa, to 10 years. Okay? And they specifically noted those who are here on an employment type visa. And they actually also specifically said at the time that they will likely not increase the time needed for those who are here on a family visa. Okay, so kung nandito kayo as a spouse or unmarried partner. By the way, we have a few questions on that later on. So they've specifically said we probably will not increase it from 5 to 10 years kung ganun visa nyo. But as I say, it's a policy document, so that could change. But absolutely, they said, the government at the moment said, we're looking to extend the time that you need to satisfy before you can get indefinite leave to remain in the UK. And that white paper also said, if you are a good citizen, okay, by that you'll be volunteering to assist in your community, and there are no issues. So if they think that you are such a good citizen, then it may be that you can still apply earlier than the 10 years. They don't actually give much more information than that, what they necessarily mean by being a good citizen. So it's quite wide. So yun ang una. So that there will be changes likely to the time scale, especially those who are here on a work visa. They've said that already in May under from this white paper. Now they've taken that one step further. Okay. Now, so the second thing we're going to look at is the speech made by the current Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, to the Labour Party conference. I think it was on the 29th of September, so only a few days ago. So let me just read to you an extract. Hindi naman mahaba, so bear with me. Let me read it to you. And if you're interested, tell me, and I can post it on our Facebook now, or alternatively, I can email it to you. This extract. So this is only part of the speech that was made to the Labour conference now. So sabi niya, this is our current Home Secretary. I appreciate we've had a few. So this is Shabana Mahmood. Sabi niya, we will soon increase the time in which someone must have lived in this country to earn indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10 years. So the takeaway from that paragraph is they say we will soon increase. So it will happen soon. And we will be consulting on this change soon. Again, the word soon. As part of that consultation, I will be proposing a series of new tests, such as, so this, pay attention now, because these are the things, sabi niya, they were going to be likely imposed before you can apply successfully, get indefinite leave to remain. So sabi niya, a series of new tests, such as being in work, making national insurance contributions, not taking a penny in benefits, learning English to a high standard, having no criminal record, and finally, that you have truly given back to your community, such as by volunteering your time to a local cause. Without meeting these conditions, I do not believe your ability to stay in this country should be automatic. Okay? Some will be able to earn an earlier settlement than 10 years based on their contribution, while others will be forced to wait longer if they're not contributing enough. In some cases, they will be barred from indefinite leave to remain entirely. The British people, sabi dito, have always welcomed those who come here, who work hard, and who give back. Time spent in this country alone is not enough. Now, that's quite a telling extract from her speech. Okay? So let's just unpack that a little bit. So sabi niya dito, I will be proposing that the indefinite leave to remain increases from 5 years to 10 years. She's reiterated that. So that's not rumor then. Okay, so what is rumor is that it's been abolished. Hindi po yung tama. So at the moment, if you have say work visa nga, they're looking to increase it rather than qualifying after 5 years for indefinite leave to remain. They're looking to increase it to 10 years. There's not an awful lot you can do about that if you're not yet entitled to apply for indefinite leave to remain. But if you are entitled to apply for indefinite leave to remain, and you just, for whatever reason, you are delaying that, then ang payo ko, do it. No? For a lot of my clients, the reason why they are not yet applying for indefinite leave to remain is the test, the Life in the UK test. Because they can't, sometimes it's difficult to pass it. It's not easy, actually, the Life in the UK test. So ang payo ko, kung yun lang iniintay nyo, yun lang kailangan nyo, double your efforts to try and pass it. The other thing to take away from this, and she actually mentions it later on, is learning English to a high standard. At the moment, apart from the Life in the UK test, which is what's causing a lot of my clients difficulty, is at the moment, ang kailangan ipakita in order to apply for indefinite leave to remain is a B1 level English language, okay? Which is actually, it's quite a high level, but they want to increase it. Actually said that also in the white paper. They want to go from B1 to B2, and that's actually quite a jump. So B1, absolutely, you need to have you need to be very comfortable with English. You need to be able to more than converse in English. You need to be able to, so you need to comprehend nga B1. But B2 takes it to another level. Okay? Again, ang payo ko, if you can apply for indefinite leave to remain now, yung nga lang iniintay nyo yung Life in the UK and then the B1, do it. Okay? Do not delay. Because you may find that if you delay, then you may need B2 rather than B1, which is a harder qualification to get. And in any event, the Life in the UK test, I don't know whether they are looking to add anything else. It could be. Sabi nga niya dito, learning English to a high standard. It could be more than a B2. It could be something else on top. For some, it may not be a problem, but for others, it may be a problem. This B1 or indeed B2 on the Life in the UK test. So if you can try very hard, double your efforts to see if you can pass those tests. So 5 years to 10 years, sabi nga niya. Now, series of new tests. So these are the things that they will likely look for when you're applying for indefinite leave to remain. Being in work, yon, right? So they want to see that indeed you are actually contributing financially to the country. And then second thing, sabi niya, being in work, but not more than, but more than that. So if you're in work, but you're not earning enough to pay NI, or you that would also be an issue. Making national insurance contributions. Now, for those of you who are in employment, alam niyo, NI, you pay regardless of you're self-employed or employed, no? For those of you who are employed, makikita nyo sa payslip nyo the national insurance contributions you are making. So that is your contribution, no? And that also is matched by your employer, the NI contributions. No? So they want to see that you're actually contributing. You're making national insurance contributions, and that your NI contributions will dictate your state pension, for example. No? And then they go on to say, she goes on to say, not taking a penny, no, not a penny in benefits. So if you're getting some benefit, it seems that's more than a penny, and so that may be against may count against you in your application for indefinite leave to remain. So you sabi nga niya, not a penny in benefits, no? And we've dealt with the learning English to a high standard, no? No criminal record, no? And that's actually nothing new. It is something you have to declare when you apply even now for indefinite leave to remain, whether you have a criminal record, no? And so she emphasizes now no criminal record. At the moment, if you have some criminal record, but it's not, if you like, serious, no, it may not bar you still from getting indefinite leave to remain. But at the moment, sabi dito, no criminal record. So if they are true to that, as in they're insistent on that, they mean no criminal record means even the low level crimes would bar you potentially from getting indefinite leave to remain, if you read it in that sense. And then finally, sabi niya, that you've truly given back, no, to your community. Now that's a bit that kind of was also dealt with in the May policy document nga. So volunteering. So I suppose they're probably talking about if you are volunteering in an old people's home, or kaya doing things for the park, or you are meals on wheels, that kind of thing. So you're giving back to your community. So it's they want to see that you are engaged in your community and that you are giving back to your community. So over and above money. Right? Now, sabi nga niya, and then she goes on to say, just clocking up time should not be enough. They want to see something else. And if you are doing all of this, then it could be that you can earn your settlement, no? Sabi nga niya, earlier than the 10 years, based on contributions nga. While others may be forced to wait longer because it's not enough. So it could be that sabihin nila, well, actually, yung ginagawa, oh, you tick these boxes, but not all of them. So we don't think that you should be exempt from the 10 years. You have to wait the 10 years, potentially. You know? And then, so the main thing, then she goes on to say, time spent in this country alone is not enough. Okay. And in some cases, she then also went on to say, in some cases, some people may be barred from indefinite leave to remain entirely. Now, I suspect that's for those who may have somehow achieved criminal record, things like that, probably. But it's difficult to say. But other than you can earn it sooner, you may be required to actually go the length, as in the 10 years, if that changes, likely, or it could be that you can't get indefinite leave to remain entirely. Now, what does that mean, though? If you can't get indefinite leave to remain entirely, it could mean that you can only get extensions now, and then in due course you probably need to keep renewing your application for indefinite leave to remain. I don't also know how you would challenge that, whether there would be an appeal possibility, or if it's not appealable. I suspect it would be appealable because it would be stopping you from getting indefinite leave to remain if you have family life, especially now in the UK. But alternatively, it may be that you find that is actually you need to challenge it by way of what's called judicial review, but that's much more difficult. Judicial review is a much more complex and expensive way of challenging than, say, an appeal. And also, what you get at the end of the judicial review may not actually be what you want. Sasabihin nga lang ng korte, well, okay, home office, you did not follow your own conditions, your own guidance. So you need to do so, but it doesn't mean that papalitan nga nila yung decision nga nila. They may just change their they may just look at their decision again, apply the proper process, but come to the same decision. So it can have very serious consequences. No? So going back to the issue, has indefinite leave to remain been abolished? Hindi po. No, I can say that with certainty. It's not been abolished. Is it going to be abolished by this government? That's not what they are saying. No, it's not. They have not said it will be abolished altogether. That's not what this government is saying. What they are saying, though, is they will indefinite leave to remain timing and the other things, the other conditions that you need to satisfy in order to get to indefinite leave to remain will likely change. And they've said that with definitely in the white paper that was published in May, and also now reiterated by our current Home Secretary nga to the Labour Party conference on the 29th of September. It's also been reported on by several newspapers nga. That there will be changes to the conditions required for indefinite leave to remain. Absolutely, I do think that will happen, but it's not been abolished. I know I'm saying it many times, and because it's just going around, no? Itong chismis na, wala nang indefinite, ibig sabihin kailangan nyo nang bumalik. It's just not true. It's just simply untrue. Okay? So kung meron kayong mga kaibigan, kamag-anak, sinasabi nila, ay, wala na akong indefinite, kung uuwi ako, hindi na ako makabalik dito. That's actually not true. Okay? So it's just simply not true. Okay? So don't think na wala na nga. So I hope that has allayed some of your fears. No? But kung meron kayong mga questions to do with our topic nga ngayon, or indeed later on, or you just want to say hello, do. Yeah? Huwag kayong mahiya. Actually, I was chatting to someone nga earlier. Sabi niya, nanonood na daw siya, no? Which is really lovely. I like to hear that. But she doesn't say hello. So if you're watching, you know who you are. Do say hello. Okay? You don't have to give your actual name or yung buo mong pangalan. Just say hello. No. But if you have any questions, any comments, we do have lots of questions. But absolutely, it's and we do need to deal with those questions now. But I will never say no to say people say hello. So do say hello. If you have questions, post it. No. But I hope that was of some help. Now we're going to now. We have it's already past 8. It's astonishing how time how fast time goes. No, just generally also. So last week I missed it, and I really did miss it. No, yung batian natin because the internet kept going down, and so we just didn't have time because we had to keep rebooting. So I don't want to miss it. No, second week in a row. So yung batian natin, and after yung batian natin, we're going to be dealing, of course, with the questions, and we have really substantial questions. So I'm just gonna go to our batian. So hopefully there are people who are saying hello. So sandali nga lang. Let me just have a look. Natalia de Guzman, number 1 ka nga ngayon. No? Cold Thursday here in UK. Ingat. Ingat, tama nga. Mga nasa Pinas, may bagyo, o tsaka lumindol, ang malakas. Tama ka, no? Praying for the safety of all. Yeah, no, actually, I was reading, and I'm sure you know also, no, that yung hindi lang bagyo, but also, yung earthquake nga, especially in Cebu. So, no, of course, our thoughts and prayers, no? So, mga kababayan natin, they're going through a very hard time. I hope that they're okay, and if you can contribute nga, no, to the efforts there, do, no, So yeah, no, thank you for saying so, no, Mr. Guzman, tama ka, no, say, let's pray for them all. Miss Paner, we love Miss Paner, because I always say, well, not often enough probably, but we've been together for a long time, no? So from COVID, but 5 years ago, no? So sabi ko niya, Mariang Galicia Paner, hello po, Attorney Lira, sabi niya, at sa lahat, happy Thursday po, happy watching all viewers. Oh, Miss Paner, salamat po. It's just so lovely, no? She's always tuning in. It's just, and she's been doing this for like 5 years now. I Miss Paner. Miss Jones, Miss Jones. We love Miss Jones too. Miss Jones is a great dancer. I always say that, but don't ask me how I know, huh? A blessed Thursday evening to Attorney Lira Sabi and all viewers. Looking forward to another informative topic. Oh, salamat, Miss Jones. Kamusta ka? Kamusta? And say hello to your siblings, huh? Oh, Miss Vargas. May Tigbao Vargas, no? Hello and good evening to Attorney Lira and to all the viewers watching from Exeter in Devon. Devon is lovely, especially in the summer. Unfortunately, we have now we've now passed the summer. I hope that the weather's okay, no, there, Miss Vargas. Dahil nga, ngayon, actually, nabalitaan ko, I think it's going to be bad weather also in the UK, no? This week coming. So ingat kayo, ha? Apparently, there's going to be really cold, rainy weather. Oh, Egay, the great guy from London. Cold Thursday. Tama ka, no? Cold Thursday to Attorney Lira and to the viewers. I work from Canary Wharf today. Oh, okay. And I'm taking care of Justin now. Justin is his little boy. It's not little now, no? It's still good news, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, I'm still top send ambassador. It's a money remittance to the Philippines. Bonus of £15 for first-time users. Looking forward to lots of learning again into Attorney Lira's lovely voice. Egay, the great guy. He is a great guy, Egay. He's so helpful also, no? So kapwa pa natin, especially Natalia Guzman. Many infos are circling online. Tama ka, thanks for this live, so at least we can confirm. No, talaga, Mr. Guzman, in the last 2 weeks, especially in the last week, no, since Monday nga, I've been inundated by emails, telephone calls, existing clients and new people nga. Sabi nila, wala na bang indefinite? That's a lot of people start. Wala na daw indefinite. People are panicking. Truly don't panic, no? And sometimes mga tao, even when they don't mean to alarm, they do. It's kind of sometimes mga tao nga they just they thrive on chaos. It really annoys me. And it's just not right, but they do. Ma'am Cora! Oh, Ma'am Cora. Hello, lovely Lira and everyone. Love and kisses from Pinas. Oh, we love Ma'am Cora. How are you, Ma'am Cora? I hope you're not in Cebu or anywhere near, no? Bumagyo daw, sabi niya, bumabagyo dito sa Pinas, Attorney Lira, sabi niya, maraming nagsasalanta, maraming nasawi. Oh, we're not able to save their lives from their houses or wherever they are. Our prayers for all of those places shaken by strong earthquakes. Are you okay, Cora? No, I hope you are, no, and that you're not anywhere near all those places. Edgar Duway. Look at that. I love this picture of Edgar. He looks very James Bond, no? Good evening po, Ma'am Cora Carsola. Oh, Miss May. Oh, Vargas sabi. And Egay. Oh, kamusta ka, Mr. Duway? Are you well? You're here, no, at the moment? Because sometimes he goes back, no, sa atin. Oh, Lenore Pedico, sabi niya, hello and good evening, Attorney Lira. Thank you for this informative and helpful topic. May God bless you always. Oh, salamat, no? Salamat po. I like, we started this, no? Itong broadcast nga natin, my broadcasts, really to deal with the pandemic. Because at the time, people were just getting very confused as to what the rules are, being able to leave the country, can you still come back nga? And it's kind of full circle, because at the moment, it's exactly that, no? It's chismis nga, and people just getting very stressed about indefinite leave to remain. Dahil marami kong mga kalayante, matagal na sila dito, may indefinite nga sila. They haven't even bothered about getting a biometric card when it was still in existence. Of course, no longer. You can't get biometric cards now. You need to apply for e-visa. So a lot of my clients, they didn't even apply for biometric cards. Tapos suddenly they're told, wala ka nang, baliwan na ni indefinite. So they're panicking. Don't panic. Okay. They have not abolished indefinite leave to remain. So I'm so pleased that I can clarify nga, no? So hopefully, kung nanonood nga kayo, meron kayong kilala, panicking nga, sabihin nyo, look at our Facebook, no? Lira in Law, Douglas Simon Solicitors, and heck, if you want to email me, so I can just send to you nga the link to this, to the information I'm relying on. That is the policy document in May, and also our Home Secretary's address nga to the Labour Party conference. I'm happy to do so. So sabihin niyo sa kanila, kung meron kayong mga kamag-anak, don't panic. No? Now, actually, just on that, it's also Edgar, tama ka, Edgar. Nigel F. The liar is saying that. He lied about the NHS during Brexit, and now he's pushing this. He said it's gonna save the government 250 million. But the fact that ILR holder is paying fee per head and medical surcharge, what he needs to do is reject migrants through coming through boats or bus, but it's not on the plane. Edgar, he's a wise man, no? Edgar, it's difficult to comment, and I try not to be political in during our shows now, but it is a concern, no? Where these horrible and untrue rumors are coming from, and so the only thing we can do, Maka Edgar, is to try and balance that, counter it by actually telling people hindi nga yun tama, and hopefully in 2-3 years time, when we have the next election, that people also bear in mind, that your vote, if you can vote, counts. It's of course for you to vote as you see fit, but I hope you will also bear in mind now, okay, what do the parties stand for? Perhaps I shouldn't say more than that, Edgar. You get me going. You will get me going. Oh, tama ka na. Please pray para dun sa mga biktima ng lindol sa Cebu. You're so right, Edgar. I mean, absolutely. I hope that I really wish them well, and kung makakatulong kayo, if you're able to donate nga, for those unfortunate people nga in Cebu who have either lost their lives, lost their livelihood, lost family, do if you can, and if your family there, I hope they're okay. I really, really hope so, and absolutely prayers for all of them. Marian, sabi po niya, hello po, Tony, musta po, and Watson. You can tell Marianne is, she and I have been together a long time because she remembers Watson. Watson is, for those of you who are thinking, what's Watson? Who's Watson? No, Watson is my dog. No, he is a massive Labrador. Probably because I feed him too much. So Watson is now 11 years old, and he walks around, he struts around, really, Watson. He struts around like he owns the place. But yeah, he likes his food. He's actually, at the moment, nasa kusina siya, hoping against hope that things fall down and actually on the floor, and that he then hoovers them up. Anyway, so thank you for asking. Thank you for asking. Now, so I think that's probably at the moment the last of our greetings. But do say hello, but before that, let me have a look at our next our questions now. So So sabi niya dito, a viewer sabi niya, I'm a Filipino nurse working in London, no, under skilled work visa. I got married in the Philippines years ago, no, but I've been separated from my spouse for over 10 years without any formal annulment. Okay. Here in the UK, I'm now living with my British partner, and we recently bought a house together under joint ownership. I'm worried about several things. One, I like this. Thank you for numbering them because it makes life easier. If something happens to me, can my estranged spouse in the Philippines claim a share of my property assets or assets in the UK? Good question. Will my common law relationship with my British partner be recognized under UK law, even though I'm still legally married in the Philippines? And then three, how will this affect my future application for indefinite leave to remain, just talking about the marriage, or even British citizenship? I like this question. It's a whole gambit of issues. Now, so let's look at it properly. So, una nga, the property. So you bought a property here under joint ownership. Now, let me just very quickly, because it gets quite confusing otherwise. There are two main ways of holding a property. Sabi mo joint ownership, that's one thing. So you own that property with someone else. But in holding it with someone else, yung partner mo nga dito, you can either hold it as what's called joint tenants or tenants in common. Joint tenants means, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's joint ownership, iba po yun. Joint tenancy means if you hold it as a property as joint tenants, kung mamatay ka, automatically mamamana niya yung share mo. So it passes to the survivor, and the other way around, of course. No, if he dies first and you own it as joint tenants, then that means it passes to you automatically. So your husband in the Philippines doesn't get a look in because it's automatically the survivor, receives it automatically. Now, you still need to apply, of course, to the land registry to have it changed, but you get it as a legal right. However, if you hold it as tenant in common, and that's really most people hold it as hold properties as tenants in common. That yun ang uso na nga ngayon, because then that means that it forms part of your assets, your estate, which also means that if you don't have a will, it passes under intestacy law, yung share mo. The reason I'm going on about that, the way you hold property, is if you remain married, then your husband in the Philippines was absolutely nothing at all to do with you now, will likely get that part of the property. I know it's not fair, but that's at the moment potentially what would happen. So how do you deal with that? Make a will. Okay? Wills are not that expensive anymore, but also even if it's costs a bit of money, it's definitely well worth it. So in your will, and your partner, your British partner in the UK, to whom you are not married, should perhaps also make a will, especially if it's tenants in common, the property, leaving the share of the property to the other. So in your will, you will say, and I bequeath to my my partner, Mr. Smith, my share in the property, or indeed any assets that you have, and the other way around. Okay, so that way, kung mamatay ka, kung mauna o siya mauna, the other gets the other's estate. Hindi nga lang yung parte nyo dun sa lupa, sa bahay nyo, but actually the rest. So you want to do that, and it's important that you do because you are not married. So there's no real legal standing for someone who is, as you put it, no common law. So your question is, he's common law spouse. There's no real common law spouse is as such, no legal standing like that. I mean, there are certain things that you can if you're living with someone, no, there are certain rights that they may kind of achieve. So if you injunction proceedings, if you're living out with someone, so it's yes, it has some bearing, but they don't have. If you're living with someone, that does not make them your spouse. You actually have to be married for that to happen. And also, why are you not divorcing? No, you should divorce your husband now in the Philippines, because that way that way you can actually sever that tie. Now, okay, if you married in the Philippines, but you're living in the United Kingdom, you're habitually resident here. The court here, the law here will have jurisdiction, no, which means that you can still divorce. You would be legally it would be legally recognized in the UK, even if it's not in the Philippines nga, no? Because in the Philippines, it's annulment, diba? But you should really, truly see about getting a divorce, no? So make a will, okay? Now, check also, and you can see this by looking at the land registry note, nga, no? Do you hold properties, joint tenants or tenants in common? Yeah? But regardless, make a will. Now, whether or not it will affect your application, your in the application for indefinite leave to remain, your marriage nga, and naturalization. So for British passport later on, it wouldn't really affect it in that sense. I can't see that it would affect it. But of course, you need to declare it. In most applications, they ask, are you married? If you're married, to whom are you married? In naturalization, they actually ask for details of your husband or your spouse. The reason for that is they need to also assess, are you getting, could you be naturalized, for example, on the basis of that relationship? So it's that's really why they're asking for it, but it should not negatively affect it. So you're separated. The fact that you're separated now, you're married to someone else, should not really have any bearing as to when you can apply for indefinite leave to remain, or whether you even get indefinite leave to remain, or when you can apply for naturalization, or whether you get your you become naturalized and therefore then get a British passport. Okay. So hopefully that's helped. I like that question. If it were not so urgent, yung topic nga natin ngayon, I would have dealt with that as a star question. So thank you very much for that question. Like it a lot. Now, I'm sure we have other questions. So sandali nga lang. Let me have a look. Question 2 natin. So, okay, ito. So, sabi niya dito, isa po ako, Filipino, caregiver dito sa Manchester, under skilled work visa. May dalawa po akong minor children sa Pilipinas na nakatira with my parents, no? At ako nagpapadala ng support. Recently, nagkaroon po ako ng malaking conflict with my employer tungkol sa unpaid overtime at threats of dismissal. Iniisip ko po mag-file ng unfair dismissal case. Pero worried po ako una, no? Sabi niya, kung mawala pong ang work ko, agad bang makakancel ang visa ko? Ilang days bang palugit para makahanap ng bagong sponsor? Number 2, kung ma-expire ang visa ko, ano mangyayari sa child benefit na ina-apply ko kasama ng British partner ko? No? Since may anak na kami dito sa UK. Okay? And then number 3, sabi niya, pwede bang maapektuhan ito sa future plans ko, papuntahin dito mga anak ko from the Philippines? Again, great question, no? It's all very relevant to what's happening na nga ngayon. So let's unpack that. So ito so una mong question nga, kung mawalang trabaho mo, what are you, makancel ang visa mo, how many days are you looking at? Now, it's called curtailment of leave. So kung mawalang trabaho mo, on whatever basis, if you quit because and then claim constructive dismissal, and also then they forced you to quit and then claim unfair dismissal, you would still, it's still the work is still gone, no? Or even if they sack you. So that means they will curtail, puputulin nila yung visa mo, basically, no? Now, they should really provide you with 28 days, but sometimes it's far longer than that. Depends really how much you have more left, no? But ang payo ko, rather than waiting for that, what you could also, of course, do is see if you can look for another job. Because as long as you have, as long as you're able to find an employer nga who can give you a certificate of sponsorship, you can potentially apply for a new, get a new sponsorship and apply nga on that basis. It's not really a swap. It's not really. It's a new visa, but the time that you spent so far under your current skilled worker, no, visa nga, can be added to the new skilled work visa. No? Now, so yun, what you could also do is, sabihin natin pinalis ka. You can, whilst you still have a visa, you can swap your visa to that of unmarried partner. If you're not married sa British partner mo nga, no? Because you're magkasama naman kayo, so you can see about swapping it over to that. Now, what you would need to be able to show if you're making an application to vary your leave to remain from the skilled worker route now to the British to that of the partner route is £29,000 income. You can be both of you together because you are allowed to work in the UK. You need to, of course, have passed the English language, which at the moment is only A2. You need to be able to show accommodation, relationship is genuine, all of those things. Yeah. And then you can swap over under the partner route. Okay. Now, so that's a possibility. Go from the elite, rather than losing your visa, you can swap over. Problema nga lang, you can't simply tag on, the time that you had from the skilled worker route to that of a spousal route or partner route. Yeah, you can't tag it, you can't mix it unless you're looking at the 10-year route. Now, if you, it's also possible if you entered the UK prior to the change in the law, that you can still apply for your children to join you in the UK as a skilled worker, no? But otherwise, if you change to a partner route or indeed parent route, okay, you can still make an application on that basis. Now, tip ko ito. Just, I know you didn't ask, but be careful with what's called sole responsibility. Okay? Dahil sabi mo dito, ang nag-aalaga sa mga bata, mga magulang mo, your parents nga, no, grandparents nga nila. The sole responsibility issue would still come about, would still be a problem kung sino mang nag-aalaga sa kanila. So it doesn't have to be ng tatay nga nila. So if the Home Office thinks that you have joint parental responsibility, no, so you don't have sole responsibility for the children, then they may refuse the application. Okay, so be careful with this with when you make an application for them to join you. So, hopefully that's helpful. There's so much more I can say about this topic, about this question, but time is passing us by. So, next question po natin, ano po bang mga requirements sa mag-apply ng spouse visa? At pwede na po bang maging sponsor ko ang biyenang kong lalaki kahit may sariling bahay at trabahong fiancé ko, pero hindi ko po alam kung sapat ang earnings niya. Okay. It's a bit strange for you to be sponsored by your father-in-law rather than fiancé mo. For one thing, no, that won't work because they will say, well, why? No, and they will immediately question the genuineness of your relationship with your fiancé. The conditions are for fiancé, which of course is not a spouse, because you need to be married to become a spouse. Now, so fiancé and spouse, very similar conditions, no? But fiancé, of course, means hindi pa nga kayo kasal. That's £29,000 ang kailangan niyang income, okay, before tax. Kailangan may bahay siya, no, which you say to me he has. And also the accommodation can be provided by the father-in-law. So kung nakatira nga siya sa tatay niya, and sabing tatay niya, oh, you can both live here, fine, that's okay. No, he doesn't have to own it. Kailangan mo, at the moment, it's A1 English language. That may change soon to A2. Kailangan mo din pakita nga that you have a negative TB, tuberculosis certificate, malaking TB, basically. So all those things you need to show in addition. The same thing for a fiancé visa. But the main difference is the fiancé visa is only 6 months. During that time, kailangan nyo kasal nga, it allows you to enter the UK, and kailangan nyo kasal nga dito. Pagka kinasal na kayo, then you can swap that over to a spouse visa. Okay? But during the time that you have a fiancé visa, you're not allowed to work. So bear that in mind. Okay? Now, I'm sure meron pa tayong mga question. So let me have a look at my, okay. So ito. Mag-a-ask po sana ako dahil gulong-gulo na po ako. Okay. Buntis po ako at British ang partner ko. Ilang beses na po kaming na-involve sa police. Oh, dear. Dahil palagi kami nag-aaway pero pilit pa rin namin iayos ang relasyon. Hanggang sa dumating na po ako sa point na ayaw ko na, no? Kasi pagod na ako talaga, no? Makasama sa kanya. Parang gusto ko niya kasi ako lagi ang magdadalang relasyon namin. At naaawa na pa rin ako sa mga batang nadadamay. So may mga bata, no? Gusto ko na nga lang kung sanang palakihin na mag-isa ang baby ko. Okay? Ang problema, baka hindi po kayanin ng mga bills kung magpa-private rent ako. Pwede po bang humingi ng tulong sa government since British citizen naman ang baby pagka pinanganak nga siya, no? Nasa ilalim po kasi ako ng skilled work visa. Okay. This requires quite a bit more actually looking into, but let me see if I can point you at least in the right direction. So una nga, skilled work visa ka, no recourse to public funds sa'yo, okay? Now, you can, in some cases, ask for that to be removed, yung condition nga. Kailangan pakita that you don't have enough money to feed yourself or family nga. Child's welfare might be harmed if you're on low income. So you don't have enough money to live on because of exceptional circumstances. For example, if you're disabled or just, giving birth nga. Ang problema nga lang, soon as you make that application, no, then the Home Office may say, well, hang on, you're not earning enough under the skilled worker route. So baka mapahamak ka yung status mo ngayon. Okay? Now, if that's a problem, then what you could potentially also do is if you and he continue to live together, then it could be that you can swap over to that of a partner. But otherwise, parent route. But parent route does not allow you to recourse to public funds. No? You can, of course, see about exceptional circumstances, possibly, no? But hindi nga yung basta-basta. Now, also, in case you come across this, there's something called the DV route, but it's not actually applicable to you because you're not here on the basis of your relationship. So you can't swap it over under the DV route, the domestic violence route. What you could do though, is you can see if there are charities nga, especially tama ka, when the child is born, the British nga yung ama niya, the child will be British. So there may be some charities nga or social services who can provide you with kind of one-off payments. But if you think na hindi ka pwedeng magtrabaho kasi skilled worker visa ka nga, but you have then a baby to look after, then you can see about, and you're separated already, you can see about swapping that over to parent route. Still allows you to work, does not allow you to claim benefits, but at least it allows you to work outside the limited, if you like, certificate of sponsorship that you currently have. Okay, so hopefully that's of help to you. Sorry to have to rush through that, but anyway, I'm so sorry that I've gone on for longer than our usual allotted time of 8:30. But there's so much to talk about. Salamat po for keeping me company. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I hope that you found it useful, and sharing is caring, so do share. Do put your questions to me. As long as I have it by next Wednesday, I'll try and deal with it, and hopefully next week nga, we'll have time to actually pick a question as a star question nga. But if you have any question nga for tonight, you want me to send to you by email nga, the resource that I relied on let me know. Okay. But otherwise, just leaves me really to thank you all for keeping me company, and of course to the Facebook groups for allowing us to post our contents on their pages. Salamat, salamat po. It's always a pleasure to be with you, and thank you for saying hello. No, and keeping me company, as I say. So remember, next we're back on again next Thursday between 7:30 and 8:30. This leaves me to say good night, and thank you again from me and Lira in Law, and hopefully I'll see you next time, same place. Good night. Welcome back to Lira in Law, broadcasting live from London, England. Today, Thursday, the 6th of February, 2025. My goodness me, 2025 nga. Ang pangalan ko po, Lira Simon Kabatbat. I am, of course, your host on our usual Thursday get-together nga. I'm a solicitor at Douglas Simon Solicitors. My firm has been open for 27 years. Probably 28 years this year, no? And I've been in practice nga 33 years this month. Wow, it's a long time. So, without further ado, pag-usapan nga natin yung topic nga natin. What happens when you get indefinite leave to remain? So, let me just have a look nga a little bit. Let's expand on that. Ang ganda nga nitong question, because it's on a positive. It's normally, as I say, we're dealing with kind of if you like, problems nga, no? So from a negative point of view, this is questions from a positive point of view. So, question po nila, ito, Tier 2 visa siya. So, work visa nga, no? 3 taon na siya nga dito, so 2 taon pa, and then sabi nga niya, pagka meron na akong indefinite, ano bang ibig sabihin? Anong benefits? And let's look at that. So, if you're on Tier 2 employment visa, and then pagka 5 taon na, di ba unang visa bibigay sa'yo 3 years, no? And katagma yun ng COSMO, yung Certificate of Sponsorship. 3 years, tapos another 2 years. Pagka 5 taon na kayo dito, no? Then you can make an application, usually, for indefinite leave to remain. No? Indefinite leave to remain is otherwise known as settlement. Sometimes it's referred to as PR, permanent residence, but ibig sabihin, dito na kayo permanente. No more, it's no longer limited in time. We're going to look at that a little bit more. So the same thing applies to say sabihin natin, spouse visa kayo, no? So you are here on the basis of a relationship. So spouse visa o kaya unmarried spouse partner visa nga 5 taon na din kayo. And then when you reach 5 years, you can then make an application, let's say, for indefinite leave to remain. Or even, doesn't have to be 5 years, no? Sabihin natin nandito kayo tuloy-tuloy under long residence route, which is 10 years. And then you're going to apply for indefinite and you get indefinite leave to remain. So pag-uusapan po natin, titingnan na nga natin, what happens when you get indefinite leave to remain? As I say, indefinite leave to remain, ILR, means it's the same thing as settlement, really, or consequences mean same as settlement. It means the same as being settled in the UK. It also means same as permanent residence nga, no? It also, when they say settled status, to do nga with EU nationals. So Um, it just means nga na wala ng, there's no time limit. But again, there's a proviso in relation to that. So there's no time limit generally nga about as to the time you can stay in the United Kingdom. But as I say, there's a 2-year proviso in relation to that. Pag-usapan din natin. What are the benefits pagka indefinite na kayo? So sabihin natin, you completed your time nga 5 years or 10 years under the long residence, for example, indefinite na mag-indefinite na kayo. Ibig sabihin, what are the benefits? And let's have a look if there are also disadvantages nga. Unang-una, no more renewals. No? So ibig sabihin, pagka settlement status na kayo, indefinite na nga kayo dito, it means exactly that. Ibig sabihin, you don't need to extend your visa again. Okay? Then you then have settlement status na in the United Kingdom. So no more expensive fees like IHS, immigration health surcharge, or visa renewal fees. So you then have settlement status. Now, on top of that, normally also, settlement status, pagka permanente na nga kayo dito, it can then lead to the next step, if you want, no? Which is what's called naturalization. No? Ibig sabihin, British passport. So naturalization muna, and don't forget, that's a 2-stage thing. 3 stages, suppose, settlement, tapos naturalization. Once you become naturalized, you're then also British when you have your certificate nga. And then, pagka meron na kayong certificate, then you can make an application, of course, for a British passport, your first British passport. No? So, so settlement, indefinite leave to remain, can then lead to naturalization and therefore British passport. What